Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and of course we have Bobby Christie, one of our fine salespeople here. And friends, we don't know as we speak, when you're seeing this program, we don't know how the elections are going to come out on the 8th of November. And as we've said for the last several weeks on this program, it's so important on how this election goes, because this is indeed one of the most important events in American history, because we've got to somehow take some of these people out of office, bring them home, put them back to work, whatever has to be done. We've got to do this to reclaim our country and reclaim some of the rights that we have lost. And that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. We've got to bring them home and let them do something else. We've got to put some decent people in Washington, D.C. and in some other places around this country. We hope and pray that the elections this week have come out in our favor, because, friends, we don't know how many chances we have left. Absolutely. We're glad to have you with us today. We have a great show for you. In fact, I wonder how many of you ever thought about what a 300 Weatherby here would do on a water jug. What about you, Bobby? You ever shot a water jug with your 300?
Not ever shot a water jug. Shot elk before and shot deer, but
shot
never
elk
a water
deer,
jug.
But never a water jug.
Never a water jug.
Well, this is Bobby's gun here. This is a Ruger number 1 in 300 Weatherby. So, Bobby, why don't you do the honors for us? I'll let you put your earmuffs on,
thank you.
sir. And let's open another shooting show.
Everybody ready? Right up. One dead water jug.
Well, friends, we're going to look at a most unique gun today. This is the AMT caliber 45 backup. Now, a lot of us are familiar with the 380 backups that they've made for many years, but this is, I suppose, the smallest 45 semi-automatic handgun. Probably the only thing that would be smaller than this would be actually one of the American Derringers. But this is a very nicely made gun, and as you can see from the picture, it's about not much larger than the little PT-22 from Taurus. It's very comparable in size, and of course much smaller than the 45 government model here, which most of us are familiar with. This was one of those guns that I really didn't know how it was going to be when it came in. I was afraid that it might have some fearsome recoil, because the 45 ACP, I don't care what incantation you may be talking about, is a powerful cartridge. It's a powerful round for a handgun. But the recoil is really not that bad. In fact, for what it is, I think it's pretty amazing on the engineering that the good folks out at AMT have done. We've had the gun now for several weeks. We've done a good bit of shooting with it. On this particular gun, since we only have the one magazine, it seems to be more reliable with hardball. In fact, we've had 0 malfunctions with hardball. What I personally would probably do with this gun would be carry it with one of the great Corbine hollow points in the chamber, because we chronographed some of the Corbine loads out of this gun, and they're pretty spectacular, over 800 feet per second with a 230 grain Corbine loading, which is, to me, with a short barrel, it's about a 2.5 to 3 inch barrel max, was very fine performance. But I think I would carry, because this is the sort of gun that a police officer or a homeowner or a woman would have in her purse, or someone who really needed to conceal a powerful handgun. There is no option. This gun has to work. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It has got to be reliable above all else. And speaking of reliability, the surfaces are all well rounded. You don't have any sights. You have a groove down the top of the frame there that serves as a sight. But this gun is pretty much meant for up close and personal type work if you had to defend your life. And that's one thing that I do have great respect for, is the 45 ACP caliber in a defensive situation. And as I said earlier, it has got to be reliable. It's got to function. And you can do a lot worse than 45 hardball, believe me. So that's something that I think I would consider. This is a double action only gun. It does not have an external safety, but the trigger pull is about 20 or so pounds. So it's not going to inadvertently discharge if you happen to hang the trigger with your finger or something and did not have a definite trigger pull. It does not have a grip safety, but in this particular case, I wouldn't worry too much about carrying the gun if you're at all competent to carry a gun, period. I think it's going to be safe, because the hammer is always down. And with that stout trigger pull, it is not going to just go bang with a light tug on the trigger. You know, friends, let me remind those new viewers who are watching our program for the first time, you may not be able to see my hearing protection in my ears, but I have some very fine, soft gel ear plugs, and they're very effective at dampening the sound of gunfire. You know, that's something that we really want to stress, is that we never come down to the range without eye protection and hearing protection, because there's no need in hurting yourself. If you had to shoot the gun in a defensive situation, we really wouldn't worry much about noise at that point. You probably wouldn't even hear it if you had to shoot the gun in self-defense. It would sound like a pop or something, not like a bang. But down on the range, it's just so much more fun when your ears and certainly your eyesight are not damaged. So we never shoot without shooting glasses, impact-resistant glasses, and earmuffs. Well, let's take a shot with our little miniature 45 from AMT, and let you watch it in my hands anyway. It holds 5 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, a total of 6. Let's see what it looks like. So, and the slide does not stay back on the last shot, but you can tell it's just not that bad. Of course, we're shooting full charge ammunition, and it's really not that bad. My friends, looking at the little AMT 45 backup, you can tell how nicely it is all stainless steel, double action only mechanism, and of course it is unloaded, but it really gets surprisingly good performance with the length barrel that it has. This is a most impressive handgun. Like any other semi-automatic, you need to go out and shoot these things at least, we like to recommend around 200 rounds to let the surfaces mate to each other so they'll function reliably, because you know, if you have any sort of handgun and it's not reliable, well, it may be worse than no gun at all if it won't function, because your very life might depend on it sometime, and if you know it won't function, well, go get you another one, do something about it, have it fixed. But this is a very unique piece. Like I said, it doesn't recoil nearly as bad as I thought it would. You can see the groove down the top of the slide there, and for its intended purpose, I think that is probably enough sight. We have a 5-round magazine. Of course, you can put 1 in the chamber, and always load directly out of the magazine. Don't ever pull it back and drop 1 in, because you can mess with your extractor there. But anyway, it is a very nice package. We'll go ahead and insert the magazine. Be sure it's all the way in, like so. We've got a good spring here. This is your release here on the base of the grip. And you know me, pull that slide all the way back and let it go, because that's how the gun functions. Well, let's take a couple of shots at our target and see what it looks like. Okay, and they're all in the circle. Let's take a look briefly. And certainly, and our target's out here at several yards, that is more than accurate enough for the intended purpose of our little AMT backup in 45 ACP. Well, friends, you recognize Al Evans, one of our very fine salespeople. He and Bobby pretty much run the show as far as selling advertising for the program. And this is a gun that I think you personally like, don't you, Al?
Oh, yes. It's a beautiful gun.
Well, again, for its intended purpose, it is certainly more than accurate enough. So remember, we'll load that magazine in, be sure it's completely in place. Got a good catch there. And sir, why don't you take a couple of shots with it? Good. Not too shabby, huh, sir?
No.
I mean,
Very nice.
It went off, but it didn't hurt your hand, did it?
No.
The AMT 45 ACP backup. I'll tell you what, if you're interested in a small but powerful handgun, this is something that you probably should look at.
I'm interested. Where can I buy one?
Well, you can't buy this one. Factory owns this one.
Hello, I'm Al Evans.
And I'm Bobby Christie, and we sell advertising for the shooting show.
We're selling more these days, too, because of the results that we're getting the advertisers, and we want to thank all of you viewers out there who take advantage of the special offers and the special prices that we advertise on the shooting show, because you've helped some of our new advertisers to really see what the show can do.
And we are fighting for your rights, and Johnny's fighting for your rights, and the judge is fighting for your rights, but we do need your help. We need your advertising dollar, and the rates are real good right now. We've brought some new people on board with us. We'd like to thank them. The Black Canyon Powder Company out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and Tri-Tote Company out of Connecticut. We do need more people on board with us because we are working real hard for you. We need your help. And our number is 1-800, and that spells
Save You Gun. 728-8486. Remember that 800 number, 728-8486.
and that spells Save, S-A-V-U, Gun.
Now, friends, what we're looking at here at the moment is a Wesson 44 Magnum. Yes, in fact. And this one, believe it or not, is a one-of-a-kind gun. The factory has loaned us. This was strictly an experiment, but we really do appreciate them sending us this gun. It is a 2-inch or 2.5-inch barrel 44 Magnum, believe it or not, with one of these tremendous Wesson compensators. And I was really somewhat dubious about shooting this gun because, one, I couldn't imagine a 2-inch 44 Magnum, but believe it or not, and we'll show you in just a moment, it is quite a package. Now, friends, I don't know if I said so earlier or not, this is a one-of-one gun. It is not a production item, and I suspect it will never be a production item, although 2-inch barrel, I didn't think it was going to perform that well, but we ran some factory ammunition, the full charge 44 Magnum ammunition through it, and bear in mind it looks like a 4-inch gun, but it's really not. It is in fact a 2-inch barrel with another 1.5 inches or so of compensator there. You get roughly a 4-inch total. In fact, this is the same size gun as our Shootin' Show special model, our 41 Magnum. And again, this was just built as an exercise by the Wesson factory to show how effectively that compensator would work. And as you've heard me say many times on the program, those of you that have been watching for a good while, I can't rapid fire a standard configuration 44 Magnum. That was one of the reasons that for our Shootin' Show gun, we went to the 41 because they can be rapid fired. But let me show you this, just to show you how these Wesson compensators work. And yes, I am putting my earplugs in a little better because yes, it is loud. A 2-inch 44 Magnum is going to be loud every time. Well, take a look at it in my hands. Now see, that's pretty amazing. It really didn't sting that bad. Yeah, it's loud. And of course, you can see the smoke coming up, the gunpowder. It really holds that muzzle down. Let's shoot it again. It's just not much muzzle rise at all. I find that frankly amazing. Now, yeah, the hillsides are ringing down here, yes. But this is such a neat idea, and a factory for a factory to have to loan us an experimental gun like this, we really do appreciate that. But this is something we thought we'd show you. The 44 Magnum, even in this 2.5 or 2-inch configuration, I really don't know which, the 44 Magnum is still a fearsome cartridge. And we chronographed it at about 1,100 feet per second, which is about 100 or so feet per second more than I thought it would be. But most impressive. Remember now, this is full charge 44 Magnum ammunition. This is the real stuff now, so let's take another shot with it.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break.
Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is the sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine.
You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program so far. You know, as we're taping this, we don't know how the elections are going to be coming out, and all of us are so very concerned because this is really a window of opportunity, these November 8 elections, to literally take back some of our country, or certainly take back some of our rights. The judge and I have been reading here in the New American Magazine about some of the things that are being talked about around the country by different commentators and different authors about things like the black helicopters, and this is a wonderful issue about the New American. And they sent a reporter down. If you remember, a few weeks ago we ran a clip of some Eastern European, Russian vehicles that are at a customs emplacement in the South, and all of us are very concerned about why those things are here. Well, they gave a terrific explanation of certainly what they found out. And they're saying some of the things that we have mentioned before. Some of these people are saying things that they cannot back up about internment camps, about other things. But the problem is there's too much smoke around a lot of these things for there to be no fire. And this is what we try so hard, and I have the greatest respect for the New American Magazine, because they're doing the same thing we are, is trying to sift through what is actually fact and fiction. Sir, you have a comment on that.
Well, I haven't had a chance to read the article, Johnny. I had a subscription to New American, but I haven't gotten this issue. And it's fact and fiction, sifting reality from rumor about the concentration camps and foreign occupying troops and black helicopters and so forth. I'll be interested in reading it. Of course, this is a day before the national elections. You won't get a chance to see this show until after the fact of the elections has come about. And of course, all of us are curious about how the elections are going to come about. We have politicked and campaigned and so forth for those people that we believe are concerned with and interested in protecting the rights of gun owners, but we don't know yet how they're going to come out. There's an interesting little weekly magazine that many of you probably know about. It's called Gun Week. And last week, November 4th, they put out an issue called the Election Issue. Well, I think they should have been putting it out somewhat sooner, because it's an issue that all of us have to face. But it has some of the most interesting little articles in it. For example, on the front page, there's a little insert right here, where it says that, and this illustrates the absurdity in so many places. Arturo Zerrato, a 51-year-old Jersey City, New Jersey resident, shot one of two men who were accused of attacking him while attempting to burglarize his house. This happened on October 21st. You know what? He's been charged with using illegal ammunition.
Say what?
The wounded suspect and his accomplice were detained at gunpoint by Zerado until police arrived. They were charged with burglary, robbery, aggravated assault for attacking the courageous homeowner with two crowbars. And then to my way of thinking, the utterly asinine and stupid prosecutor filed a charge against is a woman, incidentally, Carmen Massano, for against Zerado for possession of hollow point ammunition. That
Hollow
It's
point
fascinating.
ammunition is illegal in New Jersey.
it's illegal in New Jersey, prohibited by state law. Fascinating. The Canadians, incidentally, the Prime Minister has called for total registration of guns. It's now come out that the Clinton administration has totally blocked all gun imports, guns and firearms. I don't know if that takes care of Brownings or not. I'm rather curious about that. But they have stopped importation of firearms and ammunition from the 15 separate republics which once comprised the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China. And then we get into articles about it, how Santorum is the Republicans' prescription for Wofford in Pennsylvania, and how Spence Abraham is leading in the Michigan race for senator. The race in Nevada, you'll know how it, by the time you all see this show, you'll know how it turned out. Dr. Frisk aims to transplant Jim Sassa from the Senate. Frisk, you know, is a heart surgeon, and they got after him because he hadn't voted. He only started voting about 6 years ago, but he said it took that long to get him aggravated enough. And John Kyle is coming on strong in the Arizona race, and some of these people are really leading. For example, Olympia Snow has opened up a 21-point lead in her race in Maine to fill George Mitchell's seat that he vacated.
And I see Connie Mack is in a battle with Hillary Clinton's brother, I think, in Florida. So I hope we wish him the very best.
Well, now, you know, I
Connie
was a
Mack.
delegate to the convention that nominated Ronald Reagan
Were you really?
for president in 1980, and an alternate delegate to the convention in 76, where we tried to get him nominated over Gerald Ford. And I was very disturbed when I found out that Reagan had endorsed the Brady bill. That's something he hadn't done even after he was shot, and he was lying in the hospital. He refused to come out in favor of any gun control. Now he has, and coincidentally, it's now revealed that he's down with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. I knew something was the matter with him, because he wouldn't have done that otherwise.
You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is.
We just have a wonderful little magazine here in Gun Week. It stays pretty current, unlike the American Rifleman that has to come out once a month, and that lags a good bit, and even Shotgun News is about 2 to 3 weeks behind in their news articles and so forth. This little magazine really does, I say magazine, newspaper, tabloid. It really does keep you up to date and abreast of things. And I would, well, they're not one of our advertisers, but I'd certainly commend it to everybody. They don't talk just about politics. Fact is, they don't talk much about politics. Usually, this article, for example, has a gun show calendar in it, and talks about shooting a classic Colt single action in 32-30, 32-20. And then they've got other articles in it. They got a big advertisement with a picture of the White House saying that the American family that lives here doesn't need to own firearms.
They have an army.
And then they have a little classified section. And we're wondering, in hindsight, they're saying, who will learn on November 8th? Well, let's take a look at what is possible. Suppose the Speaker of the House goes down in flames. Suppose Teddy Kennedy goes down in flames. And wonder, suppose that the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that charged forth on the crime bill, suppose he goes down in flames. I really honestly believe that the voters in those places have a wonderful opportunity to impress the entire Congress with how serious those of us who wish to protect our Second Amendment rights are about the subject. Only time will tell, and by the time you see this, maybe it will have happened one way or another.
Well,
we won't get another chance for another 2 years.
And so much can happen in 2 years. Don't you agree?
Well, look how much has happened in the last 2 years.
That's
Of
right.
course it can happen. We'll have Brady 2. We'll have arsenal licensing. We'll have restrictions on ammunition. It's amazing to me how much can happen in 2 years. And I think we need to be thankful if, in fact, these elections turn out the way that most of us hope they do, and turn out the way that certainly we in the Shootin' Show hope they turn out.
Absolutely. Well, we'll certainly be able to comment on next week's program as we're taping this on the next show. But it is really frightening, the things that these people who want to disarm us, these Nazi socialists, want to literally take away from us. I cannot help but be reminded, it's so many times in history. I was reading something in the New American here about Cambodia, how the people had been disarmed and were just herded like cattle. And most of you know what happened in Cambodia. 600,000 people or more than that were murdered by their own government. It's absolutely unbelievable, the lessons that history has taught, and here we are in the midst of all these things that these Nazi socialists, and that's what they are. That's what they are. They don't trust you or I or the judge or anybody else with these firearms that we've had all these years, because we're not trustworthy, because we're independent thinkers. They don't want independent thinkers. They want people who will go along and do what they're told. Well, America was not built on people going along doing what they were told. They were built on individuals thinking about what was right. And this is where we are now. And something has got to be done. None of us are ready to give this up. And, you know, we're so insulated. So many of us, especially in some of the cities, are so insulated in whatever ivory tower they may have from reality. But believe me, reality is going to come crashing in one day. And as we see in any sort of national disaster, a hurricane or an earthquake or whatever else, the people flock to those that have weapons because they're the ones who can take care of them. There aren't enough police nationally. What, one policeman for every 1,500 people? Is that right nationally? Somewhere there?
It's at least that low. It may be lower.
So how in the world is one policeman, I would say greater than 50% of, cannot even properly use their weapons? A lot of them can't. And how are they going to protect 1,500 people? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to be. And this is reality. The jungle is always just beneath the surface. If you don't believe it, just read your history books.
Well, Johnny, that was interesting because Roy Brunn, state legislator from Shreveport, in that speech that he made down at the gun rally in Baton Rouge, made the comment, and we had it on this program, but I think it's worth repeating, that the times in history when humans have had freedom have been relatively few and usually rather far between. That mostly people have lived under totalitarian rule, and a type of rule. Well, you know the trouble is that human nature is such that persons never satisfied with what they have. They don't not satisfied with what they have in terms of power. They always want more power, and that has happened with rulers. Some of the most benevolent rulers in history have been killed simply because people weren't ready for that kind of thing. Whereas the harsh, ruthless rulers have lived for a long time. Stalin, for example, Mao Zedong, Hitler.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can. Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
Well, you know, Hitler would have enslaved a lot more people, lived a lot longer, and committed a lot more atrocities if he hadn't been foolish, and attacked England and France. But worse than that, he attacked Russia and got himself bogged down in a Russian winter. And, you know, it's a funny thing, too, because the Russian people welcomed the Germans as liberators, and the Germans treated them as conquerors, or as a conquered people, and finally the Russian people had to rise and fight. And Stalin was lucky with that, because the Germans were welcomed at first as liberators from the communist tyranny. Then Woody Jenkins, another legislator that I have a lot of admiration for, from Baton Rouge. He incidentally has changed his registration to Republican. Woody gave a speech at the gun rights rally in Baton Rouge on the steps of the state capitol, and he said there have been 4 boxes that have protected freedom. First, the soapbox. Then the ballot box. Third, the jury box. And if all those failed, there was still the cartridge box. We don't advocate revolution, but we think that the possibility of totalitarianism is much less when there's an armed citizenry, because then there's much less temptation to seize power. Our founding fathers understood that. Anybody that studies the writings of Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Adams, all of them were in agreement that an armed free people was the best defense against enslavement. And I think it's true today too. It's an eternal truth.
Well said, sir.
You know, Bobby, this SKS rifle, of course, this one's been fitted with a choke machine and tool stock here, but this is actually one of the most popular rifles in this country. It's, of course, by virtue of being a semi-automatic, but a lot of people, we were talking about this earlier, a lot of people would compare the SKS, a 7.62 39 cartridge, to the 30-30 lever action. And they're both very fine guns, but a lot of us out there have these SKSs. They were such great bargains until those folks in Washington stopped their importation, but they were such great bargains. A lot of people have them, and a lot of people would want to take them deer hunting. And really, the SKS, within its effective range, about like a 30-30,
That's right.
is a very fine deer rifle. Now, the problem has been in the past, it was difficult to fit a scope, and a lot of us out there do like, and certainly you have the range with this gun, 100, 150 yards, that a scope would be most useful to you.
Right.
Well, the good folks at Ranch Products, yes, they have come along with a very neat scope mount. This is one of the neatest critters I have seen yet, and that way, and I want to remind you, the good folks at Ranch Products do make all sorts of accessories for other guns, like the Mini 14, the 30 caliber carbine, all sorts of things. They also make the full moon clips. If you've been looking for full moon clips for your 45 ACP revolver, like a 1917 or Smith & Wesson 625, or even some of the 9mm revolvers, they make full moon clips of 5-shot and 6-shot, and they're really, really fine people. So let us tell you how to get in touch with the good folks at Ranch Products. In fact, I got to get a scope and put one on this gun.
Right. We need to try that.
We darn sure do. This is such a well-made, nicely available part here. It's really going to work well. This is a no drill and tap situation, so I really like that for the SKS. It's just an excellent mount. So give them a call at Ranch Products.
For information on all the Ranch Products product line, give them a call. Area 313-277-3118. Again, area 313-277-3118. You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American Magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I'll tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one. These people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is, in fact, true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information.
The period from 1885 through the start of World War I saw a flurry of activity throughout the industrialized world in the development of the infantry rifle. There were many competing designs, such as Mauser, Lee, Hotchkiss, Krag, Jorgensen, Lebel, Mannlicher, Viterli, Kropatschek, each with its own unique set of advantages and disadvantages. The adoption of any one particular design over another was as much caught up in questions of national pride as it was in superiority of design. Further, many of these designs went up dead-end streets as they were chambered for black powder cartridges, rimfire cartridges, had tubular magazines, or had some other problem. Some of these designs recovered from their problems and got back into the mainstream of development. Others never recovered and simply disappeared from the scene. Even worse, some of these weapons were adopted and issued by the nations involved before the design itself had reached its maximum potential. All of the designs we mentioned were basic variations of the turnbolt design, the idea for which came from the Mauser single-shot breech loader of 1871. By the start of World War I, almost all weapons that had been adopted were bolt action of one sort or another. They all used cartridges with smokeless powder and jacketed Spitzer bullets, and had some sort of integral magazine with charger loading. As a good generic representative of the bolt-action magazine rifle, we have picked the Pattern 17 Enfield. This rifle borrowed a little bit from the Lee, the Mauser, and a few other designs, and was to be, along with the new .276 Magnum cartridge, the British rifle for 1914. World War I put a stop to its issue. The tooling was transferred to the United States, and the rifle was made in .303 caliber for the British from 1915 until 1917, when we entered the war. The tooling was then converted to .30 caliber, and the rifle became general issue for U.S. forces in World War I. Most bolt actions were simple, yet robust. In order to operate, the firer grasped the bolt handle and lifted it, thereby unlocking the bolt. He then drew the handle to the rear, thereby extracting the cartridge in the chamber, and at the rear of bolt movement, ejecting the cartridge out of the weapon. If the rifle was empty, then the follower in the magazine would rise, blocking forward motion of the bolt and telling the shooter that he needed to reload the weapon. The shooter then took his magazine charger, normally a disposable stripper clip holding 5 rounds of ammunition, and placed it in a corresponding notch milled into the receiver bridge. He pressed all 5 rounds downward with his thumb and then discarded the stripper clip. Forward motion of the bolt would then pick up the top round in the magazine, driving it forward into the chamber. Downward motion of the bolt would then lock the weapon. Depending upon design, at some point during the lifting of the bolt handle or the forward motion of the bolt, the cocking piece and firing pin would be cocked and held by the sear. Upon pressing the trigger, the sear was depressed, the firing pin released to go forward and fire the cartridge. The shooter then grasped the bolt handle, lifting it upward, and the cycle started all over again. All bolt-action magazine rifles had some sort of adjustable sights. The most common were like this Mauser, an open sight mounted on the barrel. Though it is ballistically a very good sight, it is actually difficult for the shooter to use.
Don't you dare go anywhere. The shooting show will be right back.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Tri-tote's real easy to use because all you have is a hook on your waist and you have another hook on a strap. Okay, so all you do is you're hanging your gun up like you would on a peg gun rack. There is never anything attached to your equipment when you use a tri-tote. Okay, you just set the gun with one hook behind the trigger guard and the other hook on the barrel. To use it, you just push in on towards your chest, pick the gun up to shoot it. Basically, you got 7 different positions anywhere you want to range the barrel of the gun by just taking it off. It's a piece of Velcro strap onto a Velcro shoulder pad. You just put the gun into it, pick it up and shoot it any way you want. I know a lot of people like to walk around with their gun over their wrist. In this position, tucked up under your arm, it's real comfortable, except it breaks your wrist. Set the gun with the hook in front of the trigger guard, and you got the same position, except your hands free always. And what you want to do is you can take your trigger finger right at the trigger guard, pick the gun right up off the pod, and then you got it ready to shoot. Okay? The other position that you have is when you set the butt of the gun right on the hook on the side, and you can just hold your gun for field shooting in this manner, or you can just rest it back on your shoulder, shrug your shoulder, hit the gun, catch it, and the gun comes up. It's that simple to use. A lot of people like to go out riding on their four-wheeler and their ATV or climb into their deer stand or drag their deer. You got a securing strap that just peels back. All you do is set it on the barrel of the gun, wrap the barrel up, and you have a little securing loop down here on the pod. Okay? You take that and you secure that right over the hook of the gun, so you're securing the top and the bottom. You can ride your four-wheeler, you can climb your tree stand in this manner. If you'd like to pull out your deer, you can open your waist belt up, drop your right hand down through your straps, bring your left hand back up through it. The gun immediately goes on your back. Buckle it up, take away any of that slack. You don't want that. Just readjust it. Pull it up tight on your back, and that's the most secure back carry you'll ever have. You can drag your deer out any way you want to drag your deer out. Climb your hands, use your binoculars. You're always hands-free with the tri-tote.
Now then, friends, for information or to order one of the all-season tri-totes, call them at 1-800-231-1443. MasterCard or Visa, $38.50 plus $6.50 shipping and handling. This is a special price for our Shootin' Show audience, so please identify to them that it is, you did see it on the Shootin' Show. This is an excellent piece of equipment a lot of us would like to have, friends. 1-800-231-1443.
Of the various designs, the best was a peep or aperture sight mounted on the receiver bridge. This placed it close to the shooter's eye, had the longest sight radius, and was the easiest for the shooter to recover his sight picture after he took his face away from the stock in order to work the bolt. In the case of the P-17, this sight was adjustable to 1,600 yards. Normally, however, a shooter was only trained to estimate the range to the target and independently fire at targets to 1,000 yards. Anything over 1,000 yards was normally volley fire with the range and the firing commands given by the squad leader or the platoon commander. In some armies, marksmanship training was given little attention. In others, rifle marksmanship was considered to be the primary soldierly quality. The British are a good example of this. They had learned their lesson in the Boer War, and in the early 1900s, their emphasis on marksmanship made them one of the better armies in the world. The U.S. Army also placed great emphasis on individual rifle marksmanship, and numerous marksmanship exchange programs had been engaged in between U.S. and British rifle clubs since the 1870s, and on an official basis between the armies from the 1900s. In fact, the first Wimbledon Cup was a rifle marksmanship award between the two nations. In those nations that did emphasize individual rifle marksmanship, the sling was not simply a carrying strap, as you use today, but served double duty to help stabilize the weapon during firing. The sling on this P-17 is of such a type. The shooter got into it like this. The sling helps steady the rifle prior to and during discharge, help reduce the movement of the weapon during recoil, and help the shooter reacquire the sight picture. This latter can be quite important. The reacquiring of the sight picture after working the bolt frequently took more time than the working of the bolt itself. You can see the advantage of the sling. The British Army in particular conducted a great deal of training on the manipulation of the bolt and reacquisition of the sight picture. We'll show you a P-17 in action against pop-up targets at 3 ranges and against a 4th stationary target at 680 yards. As you watch this, you'll note the shooter make a major error and then correct himself partway through. See if you can spot it. Before we go to the chart and compare the bolt action, what error do you think you spotted? In fact, the error was that when the shooter finished engaging the targets at 330 yards, which was at the edge of his battle sight range, he should have adjusted the sights before engaging the target at 680 yards. He fired his first shot without this adjustment, and the round hit well short. After adjusting the sight, he hit close to the target, though to one side. The wind was very, very heavy on the day that he was firing, and that miss was caused by wind drift. Though not shown on the tape, by the 5th round, he was putting the shots right in there.
Friends, what you're looking at is one of the neatest discoveries we've made in some time on the program. This is a bottle of Black Canyon black powder replacement. And one of the things you miss with this is since it has no sulfur in it, you don't have the mess that we normally associate with black powder shooting. It's more stable than black powder. It's a little safer to store and handle. And those of us who enjoy shooting these black powder firearms, you just don't have to spend all that extra time in cleaning because there's just not much mess at all. You need some of this if you enjoy shooting and hunting with black powder. So give them a call, Black Canyon Black Powder Replacement. Call them 800-622-8669. Again, 1-800-622-8669. Please tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. You know, friends, this box of Corbin ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference because Corbin is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the Shootin' Show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show.
In fact, British rifles before World War I had sight adjustments to 2,600 yards, and they regularly conducted volley fire training out to 1,900 yards. For volume of fire, you can see that the bolt action has roughly double the volume of the single shot. The bolt action's primary advantages in volume of fire are its magazine charging with the stripper clip and the relatively small motions that have to be made in order to reload the rifle. This volume of fire for the bolt action on the chart assumes recovery of the sight picture and taking a few seconds per round to aim precisely at one of the longer range targets. At closer ranges, such as 150 yards or less, where precise sight picture was not all that important, recovery after recoil was much faster and the volume of fire would frequently go up to 20 rounds per minute. The effect of this drastic increase in both volume of fire and combat range in just a few short years is almost legendary. The trench warfare of World War I was a direct outgrowth of the bolt-action rifle, the water-cooled machine gun, and the new breed of artillery. Though you'll study World War I in great detail, suffice it to say that airplanes, mechanization, radios, and a number of other things had not yet appeared. These would help redress the balance and make the offense equivalent in strength to the defense. Without these things, World War I became stagnant. The no man's land between the two lines was very appropriately named. Moving in the open in no man's land, facing an enemy armed with these bolt-action magazine rifles was risky business indeed.
Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next shooting show.